White smoke rose above the Vatican, signaling to the world that something historic had just happened. The air was filled with anticipation, and eyes from every corner of the world were watching. In the heart of St. Peter's Square, silence settled over the crowd. Then a name was spoken that would send waves of excitement, pride, and emotion around the globe: Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. A man of faith, warmth, and humility, he had just been elected Pope. Taking the name Pope Louis first, he became the first Asian to rise to the papacy, marking a new and powerful chapter in the history of the Catholic Church. The moment was more than symbolic. It was a message to the world that faith knows no boundaries. As Pope Louis XIII stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, his arms opened wide in a gesture of welcome and love. His smile, gentle and sincere, touched the hearts of millions. In that instant, the centuries of tradition met a fresh new spirit, one rooted in kindness, service, and deep understanding of the struggles faced by ordinary people. His first words, spoken in fluent Italian, were not grand or dramatic. They were filled with grace, with a sense of deep connection and humility. The world was witnessing not just the crowning of a new pope, but the beginning of a new journey for the Church, one filled with hope and promise. Pope Louis XIV's path to this moment was shaped by a life of service and compassion. Born in the Philippines, he grew up in a simple home, raised with strong values of kindness, faith, and family. From a young age, he learned the importance of community and the strength that comes from lifting one another up. These values stayed with him as he entered religious life, guiding every step he took. Known for his heartfelt laughter and approachable nature, people often called him Cheto, a nickname that reflected his ability to connect deeply with everyone he met, regardless of background or status. As Archbishop of Manila, he became a beloved figure. His sermons were powerful not because they were loud or filled with complex words, but because they were real. He spoke to people's hearts, offering messages of forgiveness, love, and God's endless grace. His voice carried especially far in communities struggling with poverty and inequality. He wasn't just a religious figure, he was a source of strength and comfort. He reminded people that they were never alone and always loved. His advice was always simple and clear: stick together, support each other, and stay faithful even in hard times. When he later moved to the Vatican and took on leadership roles within the Church, he brought the same heart and humility with him. He worked to spread the faith across different cultures and continents, always promoting a message of inclusion and unity. He understood that the Church must be open and welcoming to all people. In his efforts, he built bridges where there were once divides. He reminded the world that faith should unite us, not separate us. So when Cardinal Tagle became Pope Louis I, it was more than just a change in leadership. It was a shift in vision. For centuries, popes had mostly come from Europe. His election showed that the Church was ready to embrace the spiritual energy growing in Asia and beyond. It was a powerful sign that the voice of the East mattered, that faith lived strongly in every corner of the globe. It wasn't just the Catholic Church that celebrated, it was the world. People from all walks of life, from every faith, cheered for the humble man from the Philippines who had become a global symbol of hope. In the Philippines, the pride was unlike anything the country had ever seen. From Manila's busy streets to quiet mountain villages, the entire nation came alive with joy. Churches overflowed with people singing, praying, and celebrating. It was a moment of deep pride for the country, a reflection of its strong faith and the powerful presence of its people in the global Church. For days the celebrations continued. Parades filled the streets, children sang hymns, and families gathered in prayer. It was not just a religious event. It was a celebration of identity, culture, and the power of belief. But the impact of Pope Louis XI's election didn't stop at the Philippines. Across Asia, from Vietnam to India, Indonesia to South Korea, there was a wave of emotion. In a region filled with rapid changes and growing tensions, this moment brought light. It reminded people that spiritual leadership could still inspire real hope. The new pope understood the values and traditions of Asia. He could speak not only to people's faith, but also to their everyday struggles. His rise showed that even in a modern world full of distractions, faith could still matter deeply. As he began his papacy, Pope Louis XI made his message clear. He stood for unity, compassion, and care for the poor. He called on everyone to remember the forgotten, to serve not only in words but in action. He reminded the world that real change begins with small acts of love. From refugee camps to inner-city neighborhoods, he reached out to those often left behind. He believed the church should not be distant or unapproachable. Instead, it should walk beside the people, listen to their stories, and offer comfort. He also spoke powerfully about the planet. In many of his early speeches, he called on people to care for the earth as a shared home. He reminded the world that the environment is not just a political issue, but a spiritual one. We are all connected, and what harms the earth harms each of us. His message found a place in the hearts of many young people who were looking for leaders who truly cared about their future. Political leaders, religious figures, and ordinary people praised his ability to connect across borders and beliefs. They saw in him not just a religious leader, but a bridge builder. In a world often divided by race, religion, and politics, Pope Louis XIII brought a sense of shared purpose. He reminded everyone that we have more in common than we think. He stood up for peace and understanding, encouraging people to talk, to listen, and to care. His leadership was never about being the loudest voice, but the kindest. His actions spoke louder than any words. Whether he was comforting a child, praying with refugees, or quietly visiting a sick person, his presence brought peace. He believed deeply that every person matters, and that no one should feel forgotten. He led not from above but from beside, and in doing so, he inspired others to lead with love too. Pope Louis XI's legacy began on that balcony in Rome, but it continues to grow with every step he takes. He showed the world that greatness does not come from power, but from kindness. His message was simple, yet powerful. Love one another, take care of each other, and never lose hope. In his voice, people heard not just a leader, but a friend. In his eyes, they saw understanding. In his smile, they found peace. As his papacy moves forward, the world continues to watch with hope. His leadership is a reminder that even in dark times, light can shine. Even when the world feels divided, unity is possible. Pope Louis XIV stands as a shepherd for a new time, a time when faith brings people together, when compassion guides decisions, and when love becomes the strongest voice of all. He has shown us that faith is not just a tradition, it is a way of living that brings us closer to each other and to the heart of what truly matters. His story is still being written, but already it is filled with moments of grace and inspiration. His actions continue to ripple outward, touching hearts across continents and cultures. The world needs leaders like him, humble, wise, and full of love. As people look to the future, many do so with renewed faith, inspired by a man who rose from simple roots to lead with extraordinary compassion. Pope Louis XIII has opened a door to something new, a church that welcomes all, a world where kindness is power, a future where unity and love are stronger than division and fear. He carries the hopes of billions, not with weight, but with joy. And as his journey continues, one thing is clear. This is not just a new pope. This is a new beginning.